So welcome to the OneDose and Sansio integration webinar. Today we're going to introduce our speakers, just a brief bit about our missions and how we're working together through this integration to streamline documentation. Then we'll jump into a live demo of the OneDose user interface that'll then transfer data to the Health EMS EPCR, and James will close out that demo on that side of things. Finally, we'll have some time for Q&A at the end, so I encourage you to use that Q&A button at the bottom throughout today's webinar if questions come up. We'll do our best to address all those questions at the end. At the very least, we will take action items if there's questions that we need to do a little more investigation on as well. So let's get started. So introducing myself, my name is Mike Ellsburn, one of the co-founders and our COO here at OneDose. And then James Fox with me, Senior Product Manager and Paramedic at Sansio Health EMS. Really briefly, to highlight OneDose's mission, overall, we want to make every medic, every provider a super provider or super medic. And we believe that, to do that, we need to advance the first mile of healthcare by equipping every emergency clinician, agency, and hospital with intelligent AI-powered support that improves accuracy, saves time, and saves lives.
Hey, Michael, thank you for the introductions. Sansio delivers cloud-based EPCR and record management built for our EMS and fire agencies. It includes field documentation, NEMSIS compliant reporting, a billing handoff, and quality review in one connected system. Agencies nationwide rely on Health EMS to keep charts complete, compliant, and audit ready from the first mile through hospital handoff. Thanks for having me today.
Awesome. And just one slide, kind of high-level overview before we dive in to talk about what this connection and what this integration really means. So essentially, we've created a connected workflow to help crews document once and then move that structured NEMSIS formatted data and those elements into Sansio Health EMS in a way that allows providers to spend more time focused on patient care and less on documentation. So why this matters is what I mentioned. We're eliminating that double documentation that can come from using multiple platforms at point of care. This allows for more complete charts and more cleaner operational data, more accuracy in data with time stamping and dosages and more. So some examples of that on the bottom left of the screen include medications, infusions and electrical therapies, demographics and procedures, and additional interventions and treatment documentation as well. With that, I will pivot my screen to right into the app demo. And James, is that looking good? You can see that?
I
Awesome.
do, yep.
Fantastic. Well, to start, I just want to highlight a little bit about OneDose if it's your first time seeing it. We've got our home screen here. This is going to be a set of all the clinical tools that your admins have enabled, everything from just going into medications down to our EMAC vial scanner process. Our protocol tab is that familiar table of contents view of your protocols. You can do smart searching with this search bar or just navigate directly to protocols this way. But for the sake of the demo, we're going to start at the home screen, and I'm going to add a patient to start my interaction. When I hit that Add Patient button, we're going to see that there's inputs we can put in, like patient age or patient weight directly, or I could just use a slide bar and select a patient by an age formula or length-based tape for the example of pediatric here. Now I've got that patient in there, and our timer starts at the top right of the screen to let us know that this interaction is live. From here, I'm going to navigate to a protocol through medications. Let's say I know I need to use ketamine for this particular patient. I'll select on ketamine, and our advanced filtering based on your protocol inputs will bring us into only relevant protocols for that particular medication. When I select into that protocol, it brings me directly to that ketamine dose that I was looking for. From here, I can use a range-based slide bar if you are doing any range-based dosing. Otherwise, it would just output that volume and dose directly. And then just one tap to document that administration. If I need to reference my document, my protocol at any time, I can simply swipe over to the PDF. This allows you to go a little more in depth into your workflow and what might your next steps be along with this call. So I'll come back to my calculation screen and select on midazolam. From here, I want to highlight one of the newest and most innovative features we've launched, which is EMAC, the Electronic Medication Administration Crosscheck. This turns a two-provider workflow into a single provider workflow to do medication cross-checks. So let's show you how it works. And I am on a computer today, so it's going to bounce back to my face when I select verify. But then I just put that vial right in front of the screen. And in most cases, this would be a mobile device or an iPad. And then from there, I can follow the traditional rites of medication dosing. If I need to reference any additional instructions, I have a drop down there. I can select the syringe that would be most ideal for this dose. Scroll down, see that an image is captured for QA/QI purposes, and confirm administration. You'll notice on this screen any other particular features of the app, like infusion information or paired protocols, will be listed. But I'll jump back to the home screen. From the home screen here, let's say that a patient goes into cardiac arrest and we want to open up our CPR assist modal. I'll just tap that CPR assist button. And from here, a metronome is going, I think the volume's muted on your end, hopefully. And then on the administration side, I can tap Epi. It will start its own Epi timer, which can be configured to set reminders at 3 or 5 minutes, or however you guys do your particular repeat doses. We can document defibrillation shocks. And then once that is completed, I can document my patient outcome. Now that I've shown a few features and documented a few things, I want to actually do 2 more things here. I'll just go ahead and do equipment and document a couple more items, and then come over to my patient tab. The last thing to do is just click into that treatment activity and review the chart. Make sure that what you want to send over is looking accurate. Of course, it can be modified on the Sansio side if something needs to be, and James will show that shortly. But then I'll just come here, click that Sansio button, and hit export. When I'm ready, I complete that export, and then you get a checkbox showing how that is successful. So from there, I'm ready to transfer the share screen over, and I think I just stopped there. And then James will pick up and show you guys what it looks like to import that.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Let me know if you can see my screen.
It's still loading for me. There it is.
All right. So for those of you who are familiar or not familiar with Mobile Touch, this is the patient tab in Mobile Touch. One of the nice things that you can do with our application is you can actually access the import process from anywhere within the application, regardless of the section or even fields that you're documenting in. So once you've submitted that OneDose case from OneDose, at the very top of the quick action toolbar here, you'll see this OneDose icon here. So to begin the import process, as you're online, you would select the OneDose icon. As you do this, it's going to connect to OneDose, and it's going to pull in the available cases that you've imported within the last 24 hours. Okay. This OneDose import available cases window, you can see here breaks it down by the date and time of the case itself, the crew name who created the case, as well as the patient's age. Okay. Each are presented with a radio button to allow you to select that case. Once you identify the case you want to import, select it, and then choose the import button. You can also just cancel out of this window and just start that import process over again. Once you select the import, it's going to load all of that case data that you've sent across. If you've put in your crew information on the call crew page, it will automatically populate that crew name field with that information, as well as you'll see here momentarily, the event log will also contain your crew information. So in this import window, you'll notice it's broken down into a couple of categories. Your patient demographics will present you the age and the weight of the patient. You'll notice here that we have a current value and a OneDose value. This is just in case you've entered a value already in the form. You can see what you're going to override as you import this case. If you choose to not override it, you can simply just unselect that row and it will remove that import from OneDose and it'll maintain that current value. And that goes with any of the rows here within the cases import window. Sorry, the results window. So here we have the cardiac events information that was imported. What we've done is we've mapped some cardiac arrest events when ROSC, for example, is documented in OneDose. It will automatically add that information to the form in the primary impression field. Down here, you'll see where we've put in the treatments. So we've got CPR, defibrillation. Any joules that's been entered in will also import into the treatment itself. Intratracheal intubation, the size of the tube, and then you have your airway eye gel. And then here are our medications that was administered. Once that's imported, all your units dose, all of that stuff will be imported into the event log. So if I'm happy with what I see here, I can select import. Once I do that, you'll notice now the form changes a little bit. If we look on the patient tab, you'll see that all of the fields now have a OneDose overlay, and they are grayed out. They're grayed out because we've overrode the values that I had there earlier. But if I want to change something, for example, if I want to make a change to the weight, I could just simply select that field. That will remove the overlay and allow me to make adjustments in real time within the application. Okay. If we come to the CCI, POI, MOI, you'll notice that my provider impression also has the overlay. Down below here, you'll see the end of events with the overlay. And then if we navigate over to our event log, you'll notice that our event log now contains the information in the timeline. One of the nice things that our application has in the event log is if you want to make sure that everything is in order or change it, you can just simply adjust it, and things that are not in order, it'll group them all together, just in case you've put more stuff on your event log. And then you can also filter if you need to look at certain treatments or medications that got brought in by OneDose, you can narrow that information down. And just like any other field, you can come in and you can edit those fields and make the changes that you need to so that you can meet NEMSIS compliance and things like that. So let's say that you accidentally imported the wrong patient, right? Easy. Go back up to the OneDose icon, select it. Once you select it, at the very bottom, you're going to be presented with a detach import button. Just select that detach import button, and it will remove that case information, and you can start all over again.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate the overview there. Did you have anything else before we jump into the next kind of Q&A section?
Only that if we have people who are interested in OneDose or Health EMS, or maybe both, feel free to reach out to Sansio if you have questions.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and take over the screen one last time. I think, yep, perfect. All right, so on the screen here, we've got some contact information, and then we'll jump into Q&A here in just a second. I see one question just popped up. But the best way, so a couple things to note before we jump into Q&A. One is for administrators of OneDose, you can simply navigate into the OneDose admin console into settings, then integrations, and you can click the request Sansio integration button there. That will notify our team, and then we'll be connecting with Sansio directly to get that all set up. So from an administrative standpoint, it should be a fairly simple update. But that being said, if you also have questions, these are great resources. The help desk at my OneDose or the Sansio community portal as well. And now jumping into Q&A, I've got two questions that have popped up. The first one from Steven being, can I get a copy of the recording emailed? And the answer is yes. So we expect that definitely by tomorrow, if not the end of today, we'll send this to all the registrants in a YouTube format so you can share to your liking. And then the second question is from Michael. Are only the documenting crews OneDose exports shown in HEMS? And I think that would be a question, James, if you could help me answer.
I think are the only documenting crews OneDose export shown in, we're documenting, are you talking about the crew name?
I
As far
think
as the
so.
import?
I think so. So it would be, to my understanding, and I was in there as Colton, even though my name is Michael.
Yeah.
It came in as Colton. It would be the user that the OneDose log is tied to and sent. Um, yeah.
Yep, exactly, Michael. So basically think of the OneDose import as kind of like a highway, right? And so if there's multiple people documenting in that highway, you're going to be able to locate your call by name. So it could be Colton's, it could be Michael's, it could be someone else in the agency that would be part that you'd be able to select from. So that's where you're seeing that name as just kind of an identifier for the crews to choose the right record.
Perfect. And then the last question I see, at least right now, is from Craig. How does the OneDose program function offline, and in particular with the medication vial scanning? So most of our features are available offline. The only real limitations to that would be our AI assistant, which we did not show that today. And then the second being the actual push of this data to Sansio, you would need internet connection. That being said, everything I showed you in the documentation portion of the demo, including the EMAC file scan, is all offline functionable. And then that data just stores on that local device until you resync with the cloud, and then press that Sansio button when you're ready to send that information out. Great question. Okay, here's the question. Do you see your agency iPads and agency members? Does the import only see your department iPads and department member entries?
If you're
James,
talking about if you're talking about the case details, right? Yes, that is tied directly to your agency. Like you're not going to see another agency's case information. You're only going to see the cases that are specifically tied to your agency with OneDose. Good question though.
mhm. Well, that is it from the Q&A section. We really appreciate everyone jumping in with questions and being attentive to the presentation today. This has been a great partnership so far. We're excited to take this even further, and looking forward to meeting with some of you on getting this integration going. And last
We got
second
one more
here,
question here.
yeah. Um, Okay, great question. So if someone opens a live record in OneDose and doesn't close it, does it keep running? There is a timer on that now in one of our most recent releases so that it will automatically prompt the user when they open the app, let's say in this case, 80 plus hours later. So it should prompt the user then to either continue or end that log at that time. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. If you have any additional questions, write down that contact information on the screen, and we'd be happy to take those offline. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and appreciate you joining us.
Enjoy your day. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks.